Alright you guys, if you're looking to level up your photography game when it comes to shooting clothes, I'm going to show you how I made this really simple flat lay backdrop. Now there's many different ways to make a project like this. I happen to have a wood shop in my backyard, so I'm going to utilize the materials that I have out here in my shop. But again, this is just going to give you a rough idea of how to make this, and then you can use whatever materials that you have access to. One of the main challenges I had with my current setup was when I was trying to shoot a pair of pants that were really long or something like a long sleeve shirt, I was running out of real estate and I didn't have that nice white backdrop, and I was having to remove the background, put a background behind it, and it really just was not conducive to my workflow. So I think I have a solution to that. What we're going to be using is, this is called a utility fabric. It's basically like a thick felt, so you can pick this up at any of your local stores like a Joann or any online retailer that sells fabric. Now, if you do have access to a local store, I would definitely make a trip down there and just take a look at the different materials they have. This utility fabric does come in different colors and different thicknesses, so depending on what kind of clothing you plan to shoot, you can pick out what material is going to work best for you. I went with the thicker version that they had, and it's got a little bit more of a texture on it, so as you guys see later in the video, when this thing is leaning up against the wall, my clothing is going to stick to it and not slide down. Next up, and you're going to see this again a little bit later in the video, I only have some small pieces right here, but you can go to any of your local big box stores and they sell a full 4x8 sheet, and the stuff is called underlayment, and it's a 5mm thick. A lot of times places like Home Depot and Lowe's already have pre-cut panels, so if you don't want one as big as mine, you want something like a 24x48, you can pick up one of those pre-cut, or if you want it a little bit larger, you can always pick up two of the 24x48s, and then you got yourself a 4x4. Now the final size of my flat lay is going to be 4 feet by 5 feet. You can adjust the size of yours according to what type of clothing you shoot. Now as you just saw, that material is very flimsy, being 5mm, and I don't want that flexing on me. So I have some leftover 1/2-inch plywood, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to rip these down to 1 inch wide, and then I'm going to make a quick frame on the back side of my flat lay. That'll keep that board nice and straight. Now that we've got the pieces ripped down to our width, we need to cut them to their final size, and we're going to utilize the chop saw for that. So now we've got our side piece cut to size. We're going to use just a little bit of a Titebond wood glue, and then I'm going to use a 18 gauge brad nailer. Now keep in mind, if you're going to use brad nails, this is only 1/2 inch thick and the material is 5mm. 5/8 is the shortest brad nail that I have, so it's going to be really close. You just don't want to use a brad nail that when you shoot it in from the top into this frame support, that it's going to be sticking way out, or you're going to have to grind those off. Now that we've got everything framed out, it's time to put the fabric on top. Let's get to it. So for the sides here, all I'm using is some Loctite spray adhesive. When using a spray adhesive like this, you want to spray a nice even coat, and then you want to let it sit for a little bit until it tacks up. Then you can lay your material back on top of it. She's all tacky, let's lay her down. So obviously having a really large flat lay piece like this isn't very user friendly if you're working in a small confined space. This will take up a lot of user area. So what I'm gonna do is install these D-ring hangers in each corner, and that's gonna allow me to hang this on the wall when it's not in use. And then when I've got a big lot of clothing I need to shoot, I can take this off the wall, put it up on my table at a 45 degree, lay my clothes out, get all the shots I need, and then I could pick it up, put it right back on the wall and have it out of my way. And then when I'm shooting those smalls, I will utilize my other setup. So I'm gonna get these D-rings installed, and then I'm gonna show you how this works. So as you guys can see, I have a pretty basic setup right here. I'm rocking 2 of the newer LED lights, and I will drop a link below for a similar model that I'm using. And I've got my big flat overlay that you obviously watched me make earlier on in the video. Now, when you have a huge setup like this in your office, it takes up a lot of space. And as you can see, I've got this flat lay laid out almost at a 45 degree angle, which makes taking photos really easy. The downside is you don't want to have this thing always in the middle of your floor. That's why earlier you saw me make this flat lay panel and put those hooks on it. So that way when I'm not utilizing it, I can just hang it right up against the wall. And then when I want to pull it out and shoot some photos, all I have to do is lay it at a 45 like you see here, set up my 2 lights, and I'm good to go. Now let's take a quick look at how I can lay some clothing on this flat lay board. Now look how easy that was to set up a pair of jeans and then now snap photos. Before, I was struggling with running out of real estate when I was setting my jeans up for photography. And these are some of the reasons why I went with that thicker felt that has a little bit of texture. All you have to do is make sure your flat lay board is at a little bit of an angle, and the combination of the angle and then using that felt. Look at this. This is a nice heavy pair of Levi's, and they stick right there on the flat lay. This is going to allow me to take fantastic photos. Let's try out another piece of clothing. So another thing to keep in mind, this is a dry fit t-shirt, and these are real slippery, so those can be really difficult to photograph. But again, the nice texture on this felt and the board being laid at an angle allows me to set this shirt up on here and get a really nice clean photograph. Super easy. Alright you guys, that's going to wrap this one up. I truly do hope you guys enjoyed watching me build out my flat lay table. I'm really excited to put this thing to use. I think it's really going to improve my photography for my clothing, and it's going to allow me to have a much quicker workflow, which in return is going to allow me to list more items per day, and the more items you list, the more sales you get. And like I talked about a little bit earlier in the video, you don't have to utilize all the exact same materials I did. I would highly recommend getting some of that utility fabric, and you could utilize anything from that thick poster board stuff you can pick up at craft stores. You might have some heavy cardboard laying around. Just get creative. Another thing that I was thinking about that would be really neat is on the bottom of my flat lay panel, I could put 2 upright legs and attach those with some hinges. And then when I have the flat lay mounted to the wall, I could literally just tilt the flat lay out, swing that leg down, and that would rest against the wall. And then I would never have to move the flat lay. It could stay against the wall. I could kick it out for the angle, set up my lighting, shoot my photos. Anyhow, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the build out overall, and also let me know if you plan to build one yourself. And if you guys want to support the channel, the easiest way to do that is just hit the like button. And if you do like this content and you want to see some more, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss when I drop a new video. And like always guys, we'll catch you on the next video.